Hey everyone, Kim here, the Stitch Witcher. I am here to finally be able to give you a tutorial about the PDF massage chair pattern. This tutorial is going to be for the armrest and the Facecradle, which probably might be confusing for some. I'm sorry it took me this long to be able to get it together for you. The fabric that I've got, this is a beautiful fabric. I only bought a few yards of it, so I only have enough to make a full set of massage chair covers with it. Let us get to the first piece. Let's start with the Facecradle. Now the Facecradle, I pretty much only need to show you one because they're the exact same type of pattern pieces. You've got this main piece. I know when I cut it, I didn't realize I forgot to cut the selvage off. We'll definitely have to squeeze it right up along that so we don't get that in the full seam. So we have the actual cover and then the pieces that come around it. Again, it's the same exact thing for the armrest. It's pretty much the same type. I didn't get close to the selvage on this one. It's the same type of shape, the same setup for how we put the pieces together. So I might have to add a little bit when it comes to this in case it doesn't pull enough underneath the back of the Facecradle. We've got this piece. We've got these two pieces. Now this are two. What we do is we take them and put them together. You can see the bigger part is here. This is going to be the center back. This is where we are going to attach it to here to line it up. You can either serge it or do a straight stitch. How I will usually serge these two pieces together. Let us go over there and do that. Pretty much self-explanatory. You're just going to serge one end to the next. Let's see if I can put you at a different angle here. Much better. So you're not going to trim off a lot. You're just going to get the very slick of the edge here. And always pull out a little bit more so you have a tail. Give that a little trim. Sometimes I just trim the excess. Leave enough where you can actually just pull in the threads a little bit. Sometimes they just create their own little knot when you do that. Can I get up close and see that? Probably not. There we go. What I also do, just to kind of double check that your serger is doing a nice tight stitch, I like to separate a little bit and just give it a pull. If you start to see stitches across here, you know that your tension or something isn't threaded correctly in your serger. We're good here. Now, we are going to take the little ends here and just fold them just like 1/4 of an inch. Then maybe you could do like 3/8 of an inch and then just pin those little suckers in place. To my finger. It's good. It's always hard looking through this, making sure we're getting a good view. Also at the same time, this thing hanging in my way. You're going to do this on both ends here. I chose black thread just because it's nice and it's dark. I've got about size 14 needle here. I'm just going to check the setting. We've got our straight stitch here. You can see this moves the needle back and forth. You see here, just really hard to see the needle, isn't it? There it is. It just gives you an idea of how far in you want the stitch. Just try to get it to the edge as much as possible of that fold. I usually will do a lengthier stitch here. 4 is fine. If you want, you can even do it to between 3 or 4 is good. We're not trying to do anything massively intense. Just get that back stitch a little back and forth. And let me make sure my pressure here is tension on that presser foot. I was stitching some vinyl, so it's off a little bit. I always like to just kind of grab the tail end just to kind of give it a little pull because sometimes it might stick just a little bit when you're starting out. And just give it a little pull. Where's my scissors? Where's my scissors? Just get the ends. There you go. Next stop I always like to give it a little bit of a press before we start putting everything together here. Let me get this other guy out of the way here. You see how, let me hold this piece straight, how this is angled? We want that. You see? All this time, I keep forgetting to put it on landscape because that's how YouTube likes it best. Now, again, keeping this guy in mind, we'll just try to fold it out of the way. Actually, what's better to do is just to cut that off. That's my mistake. We'll figure it out. You can get just to the edge. Still keep a little bit on there. There we go. Line up the center of this. This is roughly where the middle is. You can see where the middle of that is. You're just gonna set it and start pinning. Just make sure it's all nice and flat. So I'm gonna just kind of make it very loose. As far as spacing the pins out, you get an idea. I'm not doing a million pins. You're just gonna take it. Do you see what I'm doing? You're gonna take it and you're just gonna slowly turn the flat side so it makes it even with the curve. You're gonna start using a little more pins once we start getting to the real end of the curve here. Always make sure that you're not bunching it up. Right here, we've got some folds. Just make sure you're not pinning those folds close to the edge. So always make sure it's nice and straight on both sides, nice and flat. This is where it gets a little touchy. I should have given this guy a press, but I didn't. Now we're getting close to this curve. It's not even a curve, it's more like a point. This is when you're going to put in a bunch of pinners. Literally do a pin right at that point. And then you're going to take it and just bend it around. See that? See that? There, get that. Here. See, here's the point. Just going to fold it over. You're going to give a couple of extra pins in there. Again, make sure that you don't have a lot of puckering happening on this back side. I'm just going to kind of flip it over. We're going to see where we're at here. There's our center. There's our center right here. We hope when we bring this other side around that there's a little overlap. If not, you can do a little bit of finagling. That is just trying to pull on the fabric just a little bit when you're pinning it. Now, what you're going to do, it makes it so much easier when you're working with the curves on the serger. You see how I was pinning it on this side? I was pinning it top side here. Instead of pinning and coming around, what I'm going to do is flip it. Here's the center, and the pins are on the back side. Now you're going to pin it on this side. And the reasoning is because it's so much easier to get started on your serger on a flattened, a straight area rather than coming all around and trying to work the serger with the curves. Believe me, I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying right now, but you'll understand when you do it. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to pin that all the way around, making sure that's not creased or folded on the other side. Too many pins there. Same thing. Just give it a pull. Make sure nothing's bunching up. When you're coming around the curves, you're kind of shaping it as you're doing the curve. This is straight. We've got this curved. So what you're doing is you're bending the straight edge to mold into the curve, if you see what I'm doing. I know, kitty cat. Meow, I know. It's my Kaji. He's always got to be up and everything. Can't lock him out. Now we're coming to that point here. See from the back side here, you're going to put the pin in right at the point there. Let's zoom out a little bit here. I'm coming to the edge. Again, you're going to make sure you're not getting anything bunched up inside of that. Make sure it's flat. Nothing's under there. When I mention, let's see, how's that looking? Good. Giving it a pull. We always worry about this a little bit. You could just give this a pull. You see what I'm doing here? You're pulling on this. You just can pinch. Kaji. You're pulling this, but you're loosening this. So you're bringing this back a little bit because you ultimately want to make sure that we're going to have a little bit. We're going to have an overlap. We really don't have to do that so much. That's perfect. Look at that. Lovely. We like that. Alrighty. When you come to that overlap, what you can do is just give that an overlap. Take the pin and pin it there. What you're going to do is you're going to remove the pin on the lower half because you might forget it, and then replace it. Now I've got basically a pin on the edge here, right there. I've got it pinned from the top because again, if you pin it underneath, you're going to totally forget about that. There you have it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to serge it. Remember when I was talking about flipping it? We have pins on one side and then pins on the other. You're going to start with the pins that are basically at our center back seam here. So where the pins are at the top, again, serge or do your regular machine. Always make sure you're pulling your pins out, otherwise you're going to cut the pins with that blade. That is not good. Can you believe I have never had to replace the blade on this in probably the 10 years that I've had this thing. It still cuts completely fine. Now you're not going to be Andretti here. Again, if you're able to see, you're always making sure that nothing is bunching up underneath. It's nice and flat. Go slow when you're doing curves. The most challenging part is when we get to the point. You've got a little bit of a bunching up here. Press it down, press it down. Here's our point. Here's our point right there. Just take it easy when you're coming around. It's going to be messy. I'll be honest. It's going to be messy. Do your best. Do your best. Because we can always go over it with the sewing machine. But at this point, you're going to take the pin out. Just because it's going to start getting funky here. You are going to get bunching up. That's just the reality. That's the nature of hitting this. At that point, you can lift up and give it a little spin. It's like once we get past that curve, that point there, again, we'll come to that home stretch. Again, making sure nothing's bunching up in there. You're not going to catch anything. This is where we've got those two pins, the one that's holding down the inner flap. If you would have forgotten to remove it, this is where you'd probably snip it with your blade. This is why we try to do that from the top. And pull that other pin out. Once you get that overlap, you're just going to come out and just do a flip. Ultimately, it's up to you. If you wanted just to keep coming around, you probably could have. I guess it's just personal preference. I just like to start. It's like a plane taking off. You want to have a little bit of a takeoff route. You want to have this nice long before you come into the curves. My personal preference. Again, making sure nothing's bunching up underneath. You'll feel it. When you're going through the serger stitching, your hands are going to be here. You're going to tell if something's bunching up or catching. On a sewing machine, it's okay because you can just pick it out. On a serger, no, because you're going to cut the fabric. And then you'll swear, you'll be so upset. I feel a little bunch, there we go. Bunching up there. I feel a little, right, bunching, pulling it from the bottom. Here we come to this corner. If you just take everything and just lay it flat. That's the whole point. Lay it flat. Again, making sure everything is tucked under. All right, here, we're right at the point there. You can lift that up and twist it around. Make sure it's flat, Nothing's stuck down there. We come into the home stretch. You can take that final pin out. Now we take a look at our lovely serging. You're going to turn it inside out. And see, look at how lovely that flap is. Give it a pull right here because this is where things can get wonky. I actually did have to fix it. Looking good. Now we look at the corners. The corners, look at that. I might be able to do it through the serger again. Usually you just kind of take a look at where you made your error. It's very easy when you get to these different parts. We'll definitely give that a fix on the serger. That shouldn't be a problem. Let's see the other side. The other side turned out lovely. Look at that. Get that thumb in there. Pop it inside out. Take a look and see how that corner looks. That looks really good. Perfect. So we'll just fix this little corner. Then I will show you what we do next. Perfect. I just kind of want to show you what we did here. There we go. I just started there. I just brought it right around to that end there, which is great. Perfect. Look at the other side. Look at that. Look at that. No bunching up. You got to do these things really slow with the serger. Of course, if you're using the machine, it's going to be much easier. Now what we do, now we have our lovely Facecradle cover. This is where we are going to start making our casing. I would say like 1/4 of an inch. Like I said on the pattern, I did 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. I know eventually I'll change that. So like 1/4 through maybe 3/8 of an inch. Then fold it over like 1/2 inch. And then we're just going to pin that. You're going to work your way around the entire all the way back to here. We'll go ahead and do that. Of course, line these up just to make sure they kind of match as well, these two little ends. Again, just real quick chiming in, it's an eyeball thing. You'll know, especially if you have one of these little cutting mats, you can kind of gauge what 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch is. Just kind of keep it even all the way around. If you're a complete nuts perfectionist, not so perfectionist, I know, I've been there. You can mark it if you want. Real quick, I caught a little bunch in here. You can kind of see just a smidget of I just can't get in too far. Just a little smidget of like a little fold there. When you kind of look at the stitching, I know I can't get it. You can see how it skipped a few stitches there because of that little foldy bunch. We will just fix it right there on the sewing machine. Now, hello. Now we've got this Facecradle pinned. We're just going to go ahead and we're just going to give that a little straight stitch. Then we'll thread our elastic through. I like to keep my pin bucket next to me here so I can pull them out once I get to them. In order to avoid maybe some buckling that's going to happen, grab a hold of it right here. Grab it just from the back and pull it. See that? You're pulling it so it just is nice and straight and taut. You're not actually pulling the fabric through. You're just pulling it end to end. It also does help with guiding the fabric through the feed. Again, you are not pulling it through the feed. You're just pulling the two pieces of fabric to just allow it to guide along the feed, which is perfect. We got our casing all done. Now this is going to be the part where it might have seemed a little unstrange on the pattern piece. Right here, you'll see your little points on the pattern right here. I want you to take that and pull it through to the casing. I want you to take a pin and mark it. Don't pin the actual casing because you need to get the needle through. You need to be able to thread that casing through there. You're just going to need to mark it on both sides. You've got the probably right about there. I'm just eyeballing it and I'm so used to doing this. And pull that casing out and just pin it right here. It doesn't need to be exact, just an FYI. Now we have our 2 little mark points. Now we need to cut the elastic. What do I have here for the Facecradle? 18 inches. Again, this is 3/8 of an inch width. So going to go to 18. I don't mind just going over just a little with the finger. There's 18, just go right over there. And that's just because of the seam allowance that we're gonna need. I'm gonna show you a nice another little tip. I like throwing little curveballs for you guys in a way, like little tips. I know there's a lot of you who probably would use a big pin like this to hold that elastic in. It sticks out. Look what I ended up buying. I bought those little mini itty bitty pins. They work amazing. Now you can have your choice of threaders when it comes to that elastic. What I usually like to do first is just kind of singe the ends of these guys, because sometimes it can be a little rough up there and it's rubber. So just singe the ends really quick. Then it just acts like a little bit of fray stop there. There's this threader. You just put it in just very slightly and pull it all the way down to the bottom. It's almost like threading a needle. Or you can use a safety pin. Make sure the safety pin gets through here. And that's why we always try to leave enough in there. That's how we work that safety pin. Loop it through that top there. Boop, boop, boop. And throw that guy in. Safety pins can be sketchy though, because if you hit a bump and you might accidentally undo the safety pin, that's why you always make sure you have plenty of space in your guy there. Always make sure you just do a double check on your stitching. Flip it over and just kind of pull the seams just to make sure you got everything right. Because once you put that elastic in, it's a pain in the ass to have to stitch it again because it's all crumpled. So when you thread it, you always do it by the thicker part first, because if you threaded it this way, if you get caught, it eventually will pull that elastic back out. You want to keep that elastic in. It's just going to be a little, just push it, push it, push it. And then you just kind of grab the loose end and just pull it up. There you go. Watch this. I'm going to keep pushing it through, pulling that elastic. What we do with this piece then is, just so you don't pull it all the way through, I will just secure it so I don't lose it. You're just gonna, and grab a hold of it, right? The needle is right here. When it's starting to get a little too cinched up over on the end, you're just gonna kind of pinch it and hold it with your hand here and stretch it to make sure you're stretching the fabric and not stretching the elastic out of your needle here. Just pull onto it. More than anything, you're pulling the fabric. You're not pulling the elastic. Even though you are kind of giving it a pull, you're feeling the elastic start to thread up in there and slide in more. Oh, I'm almost done again. Coming through. Oh, did you see what I just did? Damn it. I know where it is. I accidentally just popped my marker out. That's all right. I know where it goes. I think once we get to close to the end here is when we do a recalibration on things where we're at. Okay, we're about that close to the end. Again, pull it, pull it. No, now you can actually let go because you're closer to the end here. Now, here we've got our elastic pinned. This is when you're going to take it out. Very carefully, you're going to pull it. You want to feel that elastic to where this pin is. I'm pulling it. Where is it? It's right about there. A little more. Where is it? It's right about here. We can go a little more. Perfect. So it's right there. There's my needle. Wait. Now you're going to hold it, secure it, pin it, and stitch it. Stitch that in place. Do a little back and forth. 3 times is good. 3, 4 times. lift that guy up. Pop that out. Where's my scissors? I always lose my scissors. I'm sure all of us go through that. God darn it. It's over on the cutting table. Of course it is. I've got these little nips. I just get that close to the edge. You can pull that guy out. There you have it. You don't have to worry about this. Now that we've got that stitched, now we come back, we find our thread. We got to pull it all the way through. We're going to do the same thing. Let's just give it a pull here so we got something to work with. I have to spin it a little bit. There we go. Undo it. And again, you're just going to pull it, feeling where it's at very carefully. There it is right there. Pin that down. Now we're going to stitch it. There you have it. Just pull on the elastic just to make sure it's kind of even everywhere. Let's go fit it on the face cradle. Here we go. I always like to generally start when I'm putting these on with the cornered ends. Just give it a tug if need be. Again, it's always difficult looking through this. See how much space you've got. I could probably round those corners a little bit more. Face cradles are different. Some of them are a little bit more pointy, some of them are a little bit more rounded. That gives you the idea of how that looks from the bottom. Now, you're going to see it from the top and what I was talking about. Just see how, let me just rip this off here. Do you see how that lays really nice, straight down? This is where our elastic ends, right here. If we would have the elastic all the way, it would probably come out like this. You're kind of seeing me here. Just because of this curve, the elastic is not going to form fit to that. I don't like having this sticking out like that because this is where people are breathing. I don't want to, I can get claustrophobic. So even if it's out like this, that would make me claustrophobic. This is why I stop the elastic right here. It just wraps all the way around and again stops here. That way you have this nice flat, see? There you have it. And there it is, people. I can't wait to finish these. Isn't it beautiful? It was like the last 3 yards that I bought at Joann's. I'm like, I'm making a face cradle cover. I'm making massage chair covers with this. That's going to be beautiful. People, there you have it. The armrest is going to be the exact same way. I don't need to walk you through that because I'm assuming you can just rewatch it if you're having any problems. So any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I got a cold sore. That's why I haven't been doing videos lately. It sucks. Life has been really stressful lately. You can see this. That's my little recorder thing. Pretty cool. It's really invasive sometimes when you're at the machine sewing and you need to look over it. You're like, I can't see. You try to look through the camera. I don't want to look through the camera because I need to see it. Any questions at all with building the massage chair slip covers, don't hesitate. Reach out to me. Send me an email, crafty@kimberlychristine.com or it's kimberlychristine@gmail.com. Otherwise than that, everybody, you have a wonderful evening. I hope you're enjoying making your massage chair set. Bye.